Day 118 of the Daily Stoic. Turn it inside out. Quote, turn it inside out and see what it is like, what it becomes like when old, sick, or prostituting itself. How short-lived the praiser and praised, the one who remembers and the remembered. Remembered in some corners of these parts, and even there not in the same way by all or even by one. And the whole earth is but a mere speck. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 8.21. Stoicism is about looking at things from every angle, and certain situations are easier to understand from different perspectives. In potentially negative situations, the objective, even superficial gaze might actually be superior. That view might let us see things clearly without diving too much into what they might represent or what might have caused them. In other situations, particularly those that involve something impressive or praiseworthy, another approach like that of contemptuous expressions is helpful. By examining situations from the inside out, we can be less daunted by them, less likely to be swayed by them. Dig into your fear of death or obscurity. What will you find? Turn some fancy ceremony inside out and you'll find... what? I can appreciate this perspective. This perspective is one of the analytical mind, which we have discussed previously, as well as the reasoned mind in daily Stoic philosophy. And the whole idea, at least to me, from this particular chapter, is that it is valuable, like we have talked about previously in day 115, a productive use for contempt, which, as you'll remember, is a fancy way of looking at anything and breaking it down. Is it really all that special? Or is it just pomp and circumstance? Is it just the ceremonial glaze over what is generally usual habits and usual happenings and usual behaviors? I'll be honest, one of the first things that came to mind when I was thinking about this is weddings, and how for 50% of the party of a wedding, it is a very expensive, or sometimes can be, a ridiculously expensive endeavor. And the reason it's a ridiculously expensive endeavor is one side of the house pays the bill, and the other side doesn't. And what's so interesting about that, and what's so interesting about this idea, is that when you look at it, it's just ceremony. That's all it is. It's just ceremony. Yeah. Is it a good excuse to get people together? Is it a great excuse to have a lot of fun and a lot of food and a lot of ceremony and dance and drink and all that fun stuff? Absolutely. But if you turn it inside out, what is a wedding after all? It's just a grand party, and the biggest expense is food. Dig in to your world. Dig in to things that you're used to doing. I think what brings to mind here for me is do you remember the chapter? Do you remember the Stoic segment that talked about that don't ever do anything out of habit? Question what you're doing. Is it still worth doing? Turn it inside out and see what it's like. See what it becomes. See whether it's really still valuable to you. This one's interesting. Dig into your fear of death or obscurity. What will you find? Dig into fear of death or obscurity. What will you find? That sounds like a worthy exercise for all of us today. I'll see you in Discord, MetaFam.